Hi guys, and my name is Amaya, and we are Charm Literary Magazine. And today we're going to talk about Charm and talk about our newest book release. And before I start any of that, I'm going to introduce myself, and they're going to introduce themselves too. My name is Amaya Brooks, and I recently graduated from college, and now I'm going to Frostburg in fall. I have been a part of Charm since seventh grade, and it's been a pleasure working and doing editorial things with these fellow people beside me. So here goes the rest of us.
My name is Jonathan Veal. I attended Baltimore School for the Arts, class of 2021, obviously. And I am attending UNBC fall of this year. I worked with Charm since I believe the beginning of high school, so ninth grade, and it's been, just as Maya said, a pleasure working with everyone here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shantika Bhatt, and I recently graduated from Baltimore Polytechnic Institute, and I'll be going to Johns Hopkins University this upcoming fall. I joined Charm in middle school, so it's been a long time here, and it's been so amazing. I made so many incredible memories and done so many amazing things, and this is just an amazing organization. So I hope you guys stay tuned and listen to what we have to say.
Now, since you have met everyone that will be speaking today, you're probably asking yourself, what is Charm? Charm is a literary magazine made by youth from Baltimore, and we publish youth from Baltimore also. And then we use our platform to amplify and empower other younger students in Baltimore to use our voices for change. So we have a lot of people that do poetry, that write short stories, photography, visual arts, you name it, most likely we have it in the book. And on our editorial board, which we're all a part of, we all just work to create the book and create events around youth and just Baltimore in general. So on our editorial board, we create the book, we publish the book, we promote the book, we do marketing, plan parties, events, anything involving our publications we do with the help of our wonderful leader and adult advisor, Miss Ward, who's on the side. You can't really see her, but she's here, and also Madison, who is also a former editor on the board too. Now, on to the more important part of today's event. We're recently launching our newest book, Our Voices Unmasked, which is our first ever hardcover book, which is very important, and it features 70 artists from across well, not artists, creatives across the city, all ranging from, I guess, middle school to 12th grade, and even probably some that are younger. But this is a very important book, and we're very excited to share what is it about. And yeah, so I'm going to pass it on to Santika so she could tell you more about the book because she definitely was a big part of it.
Thank you. So, our latest book is really meaningful to us because this is our first hardcover book. We usually do magazines where we publish many youth's voices in many forms like poetry, creative writing, art, photography, a lot of things. But what is so different about this book this year is that it's a hardcover book, and we have taken a lot of pieces that have been published over this period of 2020, 2021, and put it all together as a time capsule. And our idea for this time capsule is that we can look back at this book in many years to come and see what a crazy time this was. This was a time where we reflected on how we are as an individual, how we want to grow in life, how so many things happened to us, and many devastating things happened during this time where we had to go to virtual school. It was really hard for youth in Baltimore, but that's why we wanted to have this book so that people can look at how we were feeling at this time because this is truly something different and incredibly special. So, the concept of this book is a time capsule. where we have designed it in a way where each chapter is a different part of this whole pandemic. We have winter to spring 2021. So we're starting from spring 2022, ending at spring 2021, and ranging from all the different seasons, which is something new that we haven't done before. We used to just have it organized in a different way, but this is our first time we're doing a chronological organization. And each chapter has a different meaning to it. For example, winter 2020 was definitely a more depressing time for us because we were inside at home. It was very cold and a lot of things were unpredictable compared to spring 2021 where there's more hope for the future. And so each chapter has its own different light and it's really incredible. And I hope you guys will read more about it. Another thing that I would like to add that's new. Okay. Another thing okay. Okay. Another thing that's new is that we launched so many different things during this quarantine. It really showed Charm could do a lot of things online, not just what we usually do in person by making a magazine. We were able to create many different, you know, groups and teams, publication, and another thing we did was journalism, which is really meaningful to me because I was the Charm journalism leader this year. And we encompassed that in the book as well. We wanted to show how much Charm has changed over this time in our book as well. So that's really exciting. We put a lot of different of our articles in the book that range from the vaccine article trying to educate youth about the vaccine to Asian American voices being heard and artists. So there's a lot of amazing journalism pieces in here, and I hope you guys look forward to it and get the book and see what amazing things that Baltimore youth have to say during this incredible, crazy, devastating time that we're in. So thank you.
All right. So now, since you really know what the book is about, you're going to get a couple sneak peeks from the book, a poem by me, and I guess synopsis of John's art that is published. So without further ado, I will be reading my poem titled "Knees on Our Neck." Knees on our neck. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. His knees are on his neck. We all watch as his life slips away from him. 8 minutes of horror. Another life to mourn. Another officer fired. Okay, but that's not enough for us. Still no charges. They're protecting these murderers. We're tired of the same results. We're tired of begging for our lives. I'm tired of seeing my brothers and sisters die. We're supposed to protect and serve, but all they do is kill. Don't resist. Just stay calm. Just comply. No matter what we do, we're still a target. Our skin will be seen as a threat. Their knees will still be on our necks. My people are tired and numb. Rioting won't help anything. Looting won't bring him back. They don't understand that our numbness has turned into rage. Our rage keeps us going. Our rage is now our strength. Our rage set a city on fire. And together we will watch it burn. We will have our knees on their necks. Like MLK said, the riots are the voices of the unheard. So I guess I speak on the poem for a little bit. I wrote this poem, I guess, a couple, maybe 2 or 3 weeks before like Blackout Tuesday, and I guess it was like the first time I had watched like the actual full video, not even the full video, maybe like 4 minutes out of the full video of Joyce Floyd killing, and I turned it off. Like I couldn't watch it because it was like really, really sad, and like you see a lot of that now, like constantly. So it was just something that I couldn't do. So after I finished, like I just felt compelled to write something. So I sat at my kitchen table and I literally wrote that in like 10 minutes because I just was just feeling it. And I had to write about it because that was the only other way that I felt that I could probably like talk about it when it was in my brain. So yeah, and then also I just felt like it needed to be said. I don't really write. I mean, I do write about stuff like that, but not really, not in that like magnitude. So like, I just felt like it needed to be said because we were on the heels of Ahmaud Arbery, and then Breonna Taylor, then George Floyd, and it was just a lot. And then I was watching the uprisings and how they were just really upset. And people were like, "Oh, why are they burning all these places? It's not going to help." And it just fueled the fire within me. Like they don't understand. Like they probably won't understand. So that's just like what a lot of it comes from. But yeah, that's pretty much the backstory behind These Are Our Neck. And now I'm going to pass it to John so he can talk about his pieces.
Sorry, good evening. So I didn't have as an emotionally charged poem as Amaya did. I actually had a photo that I had submitted, and excuse me, but I really started to get into photography recently, like right before the pandemic, around when I first really started to get into like social media and things like that. I'm not a very social media person, but at the same time, I had gotten an Instagram, and like as soon as I had gotten it, everything just shut down. Everything was done. And photography has always been a side project that I've always tried to get into, but I had never really had any time to do it. Obviously, that kind of changed. So I was able to, along with photography, I was able to kind of get my emotions out in another way, and that's just by going outside. Uh, that was one of the few things that I could really do on my own to get out of the house, to get out of any cramped areas that I was really in. Excuse me. Um, so I just tried to combine the two. I used my photography workout while being outside to try and explain how I was feeling on the inside. I'm sorry, there's a fly trying to enter my brain. Now the photo. I'm so sorry. Now, the photo that I had submitted was part of a fairly short series that I had titled, I believe it was Pathways or Paths. And it was of an area around my home that is home to a more wooded area. Okay, it's actually getting annoying. Into a wooded area. But I'm gonna try and move over here. Yeah, he's having fun. I'm trying to also stay in frame. I apologize. But it's some woods near my house, and along it there's a little pathway. It's about around Herring Run, and these three paths lead to three different sections or three different areas of the park. And actually, sorry, three different areas of the park. And what I was trying to convey through these three photos is the feeling of having too many choices. The idea of I can go one way or I can go another way, and being able to kind of comprehend that, especially being this being my last year in high school, and before I move off into the new great beyond, that being college, and being financially independent and things like that, as opposed to my family, who won't always be there at the same time. Okay, all right. Okay. I'm so sorry. But along with that, the photo that's actually in the piece, the photo that's actually in the book, that you'll have to get the book to see, by the way, is one of my favorite photos, and I think one of my favorite photos that I've actually taken in general. And it's of a bridge over by my house. And that's the only photo that isn't taken in a wooded area. So the feeling that I wanted to get behind that, it was in black and white to kind of accentuate the mechanical form of the bridge itself. But it was supposed to be the path that you see as dull, as uninteresting. But at the same time, that's the same path that I have to take to get home. Literally the most comfortable place I can be at this point in time. So it's not so it's not as surface level as simply there's three paths of which you can take. It's more there's three paths, and where will each one lead? So always be careful about which path you take, because one path may take you to a different area than you might want to go. So yeah, that's my piece. And I think, but yeah, I'll give it back to Amaya.
All right, so now we're entering the panel part. So if you have any questions while you're on live, while we're streaming, feel free to throw them in the chat and we'll answer them as best as we can. And yeah, but I also had like 3 questions that last night we had like an Instagram live to also promote the book. And that was like our virtual part of our book tour. But from last night's questions, I have 3 that were pretty compelling, that got a lot of like talk from any of our like editors and like artists and writers that we interviewed. So the first question is, think about what inspires your writing. Why do you write? So I guess for me, it was a lot of social justice issues and like just being Black, I guess, because like that's what all my poems are like focused on, just being a Black girl in Baltimore during this time. Because it's not rough for me, I guess. It's just that I see a lot, and also I'm on Instagram a lot, so I see a lot what Black influence does to like people and like society. So I guess I read about that a lot, and then like current events from based off like all the rest of my poems. But I'll pass on to John because I think John has written things for poem before. So, or he could talk about photography. Doesn't really matter.
Oh yeah. Sorry. There was the photo I shared with photos that I have in the book. So if you want to see all of them, you have to get the book. But really, what influenced a lot of the photography work that I did this year was, of course, being inside and the only outlet being literally outside. So that's really what motivated me in a lot of my photography work now. The few bits and pieces that I did before the pandemic started was more for fun. I would see something interesting, like I was down in, I believe it's Mount Washington, a lot, over by my school, and I would take some photos of things like the statues. I'd take photos of, different areas that I just found interesting. But outside of that, I do have some written work, and that's more personal. It's not as personal as like Amaya's, for example. But I try and look inside. But my writing is more focused around story. I am starting to go into film and visual storytelling and telling stories through the visual medium. So unsurprisingly, that also goes into my writing and into my photography as well.
I do a little bit of both. So I would consider myself an artist. I like to draw. And I also like art that is like meaningful in a sense, but doesn't necessarily have to you have to interpret it yourself. So I really like abstract art. And I think I published some pieces of art before. You should check that out too. Um, and what inspires me to do art is really just how I feel in the moment and what colors I see. I really think colors mean a lot of things when it comes to a piece. It can really make or break a piece, in my opinion. And I think if anybody wants advice on like art in general, I think it really matters what you view, how you want the piece to mean, and how you want people to perceive your piece. And I think that is art. I think anything you do is art in that way. So be confident in what you draw, be confident in whatever you make. Art is art, and I'm sure it's great.
We got a question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Are any other creators from Baltimore that inspire you?
So writing wise, at Charm we love D. Watkins. He's amazing. For journalism, I was going to actually talk about that too. We did a piece about D. Watkins, and he gave us advice on how artists may want to become authors and writers. So if you want to check that out, you can go to the Charm Report and see what advice he gave. And he's really inspirational because he came from a place like us, and he's doing great things now. He's written many books. He's talked about black voices and how important that is in this time, as well as he just makes incredible pieces and he gives incredible advice. So he definitely inspires us at Charm in general. And he was a part of the One Book Baltimore, and he's also made a lot of books as well that are based in Baltimore. So if you want to read that, definitely check that out, and check out the 2 pieces we wrote at the Charm Report about him if you want to get to know more about him and what you might want to do to be a writer.
There's a lot of the artists here based in Baltimore that I have taken what was the question? Not advice, but I've inspired. Thank you. That's the word, inspire. A lot of the people that have inspired me from here in Baltimore are also my teachers. A lot of the teachers that I had are artists themselves here in Baltimore. One of the largest teachers in my life, period. My father is actually based here in Baltimore as well, and he has his own art pieces and artwork, and that's been a very personal inspiration to me. Now, outside of my family, obviously, my teachers, I'm trying to think of Thomas Ventimiglia, who's a writer and who has really given me a lot of pointers on my writing style and how I can adapt it, and how he has adapted his own writing, things like that. And a bunch of other teachers, Beatrice Boufrahi. You can check these people out, by the way. They aren't featured in the book, but they're just as interesting. And a few other artists that are friends of mine as well, who may be actually moving out of state due to college. Yeah. So there's a bunch of not little people, but a lot of younger people who have really helped me, people my age, my father, and my teachers who have really, those are the people who I have been inspired by and who have inspired my own work in general.
We got another question. What was the process in deciding who'd be featured in the book?
All right, we'll get to that question right after I guess I finish mine. But so for me, I would say Devin Allen probably is like a really good person, because my first poem was about the Freddie Gray uprisings, and that was like in 7th grade, 6th grade. So like watching the news and seeing all that and stuff, and Devin Allen's like picture that he took while he was like down in the harbor, while like they were like going down there and like smashing the police cars and stuff. He took a picture, and it's like on one of his books. But like that picture is like very important because I basically wrote my poem off of that, kind of, because of the whole situation. So I guess that would definitely be someone that has inspired my work. And plus, I really like his work in general. Like, it's really cool. Also, D. Watkins. I've talked to D. Watkins multiple times. I've read like just about all his books, except for the latest one. I haven't got the chance to read that one. But like, he's definitely talked about the Black experiences, and like, he may be a Black older male, but like we all have similar experiences, I guess. So yeah, but I guess for the process of creating the book, Shantika is definitely like the person to go for that, because I kind of was on the board, but I didn't have the experience with it. But Shantika would definitely tell you about that because she did it.
Hello. So yeah, I was a part of selecting people for selecting who would be a part of the book, and there's a lot of factors, but the first factor was the piece itself, whether it would fit our different chapters and where it would go into. So that was our first decision. There's different chapters ranging from spring 2020 to spring 2021. They all have different feelings, and with those feelings it just depends where it would fit in. So I think around, for example, like fall, we talked about a lot of virtual school. So if we had pieces that were about school in general, how hard it is to have go to school during a pandemic, we put it in that piece. And we also looked at the quality, whether we think it was good. It's all subjective because we think every piece is great in its own way. But that is a part of how we decided who will be a part of the book and where it will fit in the book. I hope that answered your question.
Do we have any more questions in the chat? Because if so, that would be wonderful. But we still do have like other questions that we could ask. So our next question is: what about the past year made it harder or easier to write, and how has the pandemic affected your work? So I guess for me, I don't I don't really know because I'm an on and off type of writer. Like I just don't write every day. I write when I feel like writing. If I feel emotional, I might write. If I feel like something is very important going around me that I constantly sing, I'll write about it. But I guess it didn't make it any harder, but it also didn't make it any easier because I'm kind of hard on myself. I'm gonna wait till the truck goes by. All right, it has passed. But I'm kind of hard on myself. Like I feel like sometimes my work is like elementary, I guess. But like other people would say, no, it's not. Maya, it's not elementary. But I'm my own hardest critic. So yeah, but I guess the pandemic hasn't really influenced much because it's literally what I write about every day. Like that poem was like the only poem I wrote like last year, I think, that I like published. I wrote like maybe two other poems, but like I was like, I don't want to publish these. So I guess it has made it, I guess, a little weird, but it has influenced it somehow. I just don't know exactly how.
Well, I think I've explained a lot just talking about like how different it was when I kind of started photography because I didn't really do a lot of photography before the pandemic either way, as opposed to now. But what was really what was hard for me was more of the fact that I didn't get any instruction while doing it. I'm very used to, having my artwork criticized by people. Well, not criticized, but feedback. Thank you. Getting feedback from different other artists, my teachers, things like that. Um, and without that, I I did get a lot of, is this actually good, or do I just think it looks good because I took a photo of it? And I have a lot of old photos just laying around on my phone, saved somewhere in the ether, that aren't published and aren't actually good enough to publish because I had to learn to say, well, this is good, this is not good, subjectively, of course. Uh, but that was, I think, one of the biggest things. That and lack of subject matter. A lot of my photography pieces are of landscapes, things like that, because there's no people. Um, so that now my video work was very much affected because I didn't have access to the amount of materials and things that I would have had otherwise. Because I was part of the film department at BSA, so I worked with the film, obviously. Um, Now that came to an almost complete standstill, and because of lack of resources and lack of people, you can make a film about a chair, but it became a lot harder to for my own mental capacity It made it hard to think about stuff. So yeah, that was the biggest thing for me is lack of people to help me with my work, and lack of people to influence my work. Besides my father, but yeah.
So for me, the pandemic really affected my mental health because I consider myself an extrovert and I love people. Just being surrounded by people gives me a lot of energy. So being at home and isolated really took a toll on me. And I think that really changed my mindset, if anything, about work or like being a part of Charm. So the first thing while I was reading pieces for our hardcover book, I definitely had a lot of different opinions than my other peers because of my new viewpoint. I've grown to be more empathetic over this quarantine, and it really showed me to be like looking at different people's perspective and how they went through the quarantine. It made me relate to a lot of people that I wouldn't have related to before. So I think in terms of that with my work here at Charm, it definitely this pandemic definitely influenced that. Another thing it influenced was my teamwork. Same thing with the empathetic thing. I've never done or led anything virtually. So working with people virtually was definitely a struggle, I would say, because I wanted to be assertive but mindful of what people were going through behind Zoom screens. So growing to be an empathetic leader was really, really meaningful for me during this pandemic, and it really showed me a lot. So that's how it influenced my work here at Charm.
All right. So our last question that I have on here is, how does it feel to be published, and what are your hopes for your readers to take away with this book? So actually, I'm not going to start this time. One of you guys can start.
Well, the thing that I want to get or to share with people in general is more. Well, first I'll start with how it feels to be published. It's a great honor, just in general. I have been published in Charm before, but this just being different. Having a hardcover book, but a book that is designed for. I just think that this book is special. I'll put it that way. This book is special, and being able to be a part of that, uh, both. Sorry about that. Um, both with on the editorial side, because me and Amaya did also do editorial work. We're not just artists. Um, but being on the editorial side as well as being published, it really brings into perspective like what we're actually doing. Like I'm not just in a book, and it's just like that's great, published, yay. This is a special volume, and this means a lot to everyone that's created it, and it means a lot to all those that are published in it as well. Um, so it's an honor. Like you said, a time capsule. It's something that I have given that I have given some of my work to create an even better work. What was the second part of that question? Um, I want people to really take away, at least from the work that I have. It's very, I guess I'll say lonely now that I think about it. Because the one work that I talked about today, pads, um was really much about a singular decision and being able to do something on your own. Another piece that I have, I forgot the title, it escapes me, but it's of a donation box just sitting in a parking lot. There's more to it, but you have to get the book to see it. Um, but it's a donation box in the middle of a parking lot. It's the idea this is supposed to bring people together. This is for people, and yet it sits alone on its own, completely by itself. What am I getting at? The idea of being alone is something that many people are afraid of, and that's only been exacerbated by the pandemic. But within these, we will also have to remember that there are others that will help us as well. Unfortunately, now I think about it, I don't think every of my pieces focus on that specifically, but that's something that I want people to take into consideration. That when, even when you're at your lowest, which is what these pieces are supposed to show, you can be grateful for that which you do have. The donation box literally has no one. Like, it is on its own with maybe like 2 shirts in it. But you have a family, you have friends, you have people that care about you. So, always remember those people. Always, what do they say? Text your mom since you haven't in a while. Hello, mom. Call that friend that you haven't that you haven't talked to in a while. Things like that. So just get out there. Literally the opposite. What I want people to take away is literally the opposite of what my piece is conveying. Is that we do have people to talk to. These places are really, this is really a thing. We have people to talk to. We have friends. We have family. A bridge has no friends. A donation box has no family, but you do, and you should take advantage of that. You should try your best to, talk to those people that you have in your life and things like that. So that's a very long-winded answer to get there, but yeah.
So I feel really happy. That's the first thing. But I also feel really powerful by being published because my way of being published this year is through the journalism articles. And that is something really different than a lot of these other pieces because I had to create the questions and work with members and, email the people that I'm interviewing. And even if it's not an interviewing article, it's also, I had to do the research and write about it. So it's way different. And it makes me feel really powerful that I'm able to do a lot of these skills that I can use for like the long run and be able to make a creative piece out of it. And yeah, I feel really powerful and happy that I was able to like have voices of Baltimore youth being heard in a new light through journalism. It's really good moment for me, and I'm really happy to educate a lot of people too. Especially I really love science, so being able to write about the vaccine article was really awesome. Vaccines are awesome, please get vaccinated. But it's really awesome just to be able to create my science side and my creative side and make a creative article that's educating people during this time that we really need that science communication. So I feel really powerful, happy, and awesome. And the second question, I I guess one takeaway is just to bounce off of what John was saying. I felt a lot of emotions during this pandemic, very isolated and very sad, like a lot of people. But if anything, you can see through this book, you can be inspired by so many people and see that you're not the only one feeling this way. There's a lot of people that feel this way, and I hope you feel a little bit motivated and be motivated because hey, if I was able to create amazing pieces, I think you'll be just fine too. So I think you should really buy this book and see what we have to say about what happened during this crazy year because this is truly something truly unique. Good. So please buy our book. Thank you.
All right. So for me, I guess it's kind of a bittersweet moment due to the fact this is possible. It is my last charm book that I will ever be in. So that is really sad. Honestly, I don't even know I'll probably be in any more books because we do tend to take old published work and put them in our new books. So that could possibly happen, but I don't know. But it's kind of sad because I've been in charm for 5 years and it has been a really big part of my life pretty much. When it comes to college and stuff, I didn't think how big it would be when it comes to doing college essays and stuff. It was really big. And I guess it's very rewarding, like how Shatika said, like to see how much we went through to get to this point and like making the book, because it wasn't an easy thing to do, honestly, due to the fact that we were virtual like the whole time. Like making this whole thing, it was just us looking at a Zoom camera saying, yeah, I like this. Yeah, I don't think I like that. And like it's a little weird because our dynamic in person compared to Zoom is completely different almost, especially since we had a lot of newer editors on the team. So like we didn't really know how they would react to a lot of things. And like it was just a very interesting thing to work with. And I'll miss that also. But I guess it's bittersweet. And my biggest takeaway, I guess, would be that what am I trying to say? I have it in my head, it's just escaped me. But kids go through things too. Like there's a lot, and you see like how different everyone's mind was during this time. Like John talks about loneliness, and Shantika talks about the vaccine, and I was talking about Black Lives Matter. Like I always talk about Black Lives Matter, so that is something that I always do. But like you can see like the different things and how it affected everyone differently, and like even though you don't think kids may go through that much because you're like, oh, you just have your whole life in front of you. You don't have to worry about bills. You don't have to worry about this. All you have to worry about is sitting on a Zoom. Sitting on a Zoom call for 7 hours is not something that I wanted to do. Like honestly, I didn't want to do it. Nor does half of the people that I know wanted to do it. So it kind of gives you that perspective, and also gives you another perspective of like just how life is as a kid during a pandemic. No one's been through this, but I guess we have a younger view of it. But yeah, and also that's kind of like a takeaway for all our books. Like kids' voices do matter. That's basically our message. There's a lot of cars going by, and they're quite loud. I'm sorry, guys, but that's basically our message for all our books, and that is our like statement, I guess. But like, it is very important to like pay attention to kids. We're here, we see everything, and we take in. But like, if you actually sit down and listen to us, we have a lot of things to say, and that's everyone. Like I said, we have published kids like from around the city, different backgrounds and ages. Like our youngest has to be like kindergarten maybe, but like kids do matter, and what we have to say matter. And yeah, and my mom actually has a question. So question was, when is the book going to be released? Actually, it's already released for pre-order. So now that we're talking about that, since our Q&A is kind of just wrapped up with that question, our book is actually already like available for pre-order on our website at charmlitmag.com, which is where a lot of .org I'm at. I'm sorry, charmlitmag.org. I'm sorry. What you can find it in our link in our bio at charmlitmag on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. I'm pretty sure that's the same thing all across the thing. So if you want to buy our merch, which we have water bottles and tote bags actually, and the rest of our books, you can just go on our website. It's in our link in our bio. And the book is also on pre-sale. You can get it now. You can get either the internet copy, which is on issue, or you can actually get the hardcover. And this is our flyer. I don't know if you can probably see this, which you probably can't. But here's our tote, actually, with a quote by me, myself. It's very nice. But on here is definitely our like QR code, but I don't really know if you can probably see it. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that, but I'm going to show it up anyway. And also, here's some like previews. That piece is actually John's piece that he was talking about. Wink, wink. But it's actually on pre-order, and you can get it today. And actually, I'll hand it over to Miss Whitney so she can actually talk about more about it. Or Shantika.
A last thing before wrapping up. I really, really want you guys to read our book because we're seniors and this is really meaningful for us. We lost our like half a junior year and an entire senior year, and we spent a lot of that time putting our creative energy into this book. So it's really meaningful and it's amazing. So please look at our book. I would like to thank Charm City Books today for sponsoring our event today. I really appreciate giving us this space so that we can talk about our book. It's really amazing, and thank you to the Charm City Book audience here today. We love you guys. Thank you. I hope you head over to Charm and be engaged with us.
All right, so that concludes our event for our first hybrid event, which is very important because we really haven't done any in-person events for like a whole year. So this is very important for us anyway. But thank you for those of you that tuned in today. We really appreciate it. If you give us a follow, even make a couple donations and buy the book because that's why you're here. That is why you want to look at us. And it is very important to support youth, just any type of youth, Baltimore youth around the world, everywhere. It is very important, and that's why we're here. So thank you for supporting us, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.